welcome everybody. My name is Bafs,
I'm Luke.
and we're doing SwissRPG reviews.
Today we're looking at an Adventures League game, the second one ever made in the Tyranny Dragon line, Secrets of Sokol Keep. 6 years old, so in case you haven't played it already, spoiler warning, definitely necessary.
Yes, this is more aimed towards Dungeon Masters, so if you're not a Dungeon Master, then please watch any other video on our channel. They're all great, of course.
Yes.
All right,
especially the Mad Mage.
Especially the Mad Mage, yeah. Well then, let's just jump right into it.
Yes. So as all Adventures League, the beginning doesn't matter. It's just Adventures League stuff. Such cool ideas like preparing the adventure, death, downtown and lifestyle.
Well, still interesting if you have never run one of those, right?
Sure, but how many are going to run a strict Adventures League style game?
No, I guess nobody.
So let's jump into the overview of the pre-adventure happening that brings us to the adventure. It's quite simple, but it does get the job done. It's nothing special, not particularly interesting to the players either. It starts with Treasure being on Thorn Island, the island where things play, where Sokol Keep stands upon. Then how Sokol has a lighthouse on it. That's intelligent. How Sokol has a lighthouse on it. And currently Iggen Sokol is the keeper of it. He looked for treasure as well on his island, having found some old-timey books. And he befriended a captain of the guard, the Black Fist, Grim, as well as a ghost, with which they descended into the crypts, or a dungeon they found below, where eventually Iggen got murdered by Grim, because Grim wanted all the treasure for himself. The ghost was very upset about this and turned off the beacon, sort of as a cry for help for people to come, which is why the adventurers have come and have to figure out all of this happening so they can bring Grim to justice and turn the beacon back on.
All right. Do the adventurers need any of those background informations, or do they need to read up on Forgotten Realms lore to figure out what's going on there?
They should hopefully not have this background information, and they don't need to really know anything either. You can just drop them straight at the beginning of the adventure and they'll be absolutely fine, as long as you tell them the beacon has gone out.
Okay.
Go solve it.
So that's the stuff that they need to going to find out over the course of the adventure. I see. Great.
So the adventure starts, as all great adventures do, in a tavern.
In a tavern, of course.
I usually like to put them actually at the gates of Flan, but the adventure begins in wholesale when they start investigating in the tavern, the Laughing Goblin. There they have several points of interest, multiple people they can engage with and get information out of. Almost everyone actually has a piece of information, and they can ask them classic roleplay opportunities.
Classic tavern encounter.
Yeah, until eventually a bunch of drunken dock workers are gonna jump in and really be rowdy with a specific group of people that the party then can either choose to defuse, and if they don't, a bar fight is going to happen.
Right, this is where the fun begins.
Yes, you're gonna have your first proper fight, a really low stakes fight, especially well for newer players, where they can try out how to fight in a safe environment with no possibility of death. The only possibility of death are the players.
Okay.
If they kill people.
All right. Does it have consequences if they kill people in the tavern?
Not in the one shot itself. They're gonna get enmity of the Black Fist, the guards of the town. So if you choose to run a future adventure in Flan or wherever you locate this one shot, they're gonna not be a fan of that and probably chase you, hunt you, put a bounty on your head, whatever guards do in fantasy land.
So no immediate story consequences?
No, not immediate. Unless you want to deal with that, but it's not in the scope of the one shot itself.
Yeah.
After this bar fight, you can put them either to the Black Fist guard post or the Iggen or the House Sokol administrative office, or they're going to shepherd him to the next point. Chapter 2, Thorn Island and Sokol Keep. The sort of core of the adventure is a great idea, and it's pretty well executed as well. The only really downside to this chapter is there's an exact point the players have to find. That can be relatively hard to find depending on how investigative your players are. But that can easily be sidestepped with a handful guide the adventure gives you, which is the ghost that was mentioned at the beginning as well. That's the cause of the entire adventure as well.
I see.
This ghost can be helpful to the players if they don't find certain things. Can move objects around in classic poltergeist shenanigans, and really put emphasis on certain areas that you want explored in order to get the players through this.
All right. So the ghost is basically your tool that you need to move the players to a certain point if they don't get to that by yourself.
This chapter is sort of an open area where players move around, unveiling hidden clues and different information. Right. And if they aren't as good as that by themselves, the ghost can shepherd them along and eventually get them to the finale of this chapter, which is a handout, which gives them a puzzle, Igan's journal, or they have to find a specific passcode to get to the next chapter, which can take players surprisingly anywhere from like almost immediately spotting it to 15 to 20 minutes of arguing about what's written on this one page.
Yeah, well, there is a lot to read on that one page, but it also then reveals pretty quick what exactly they need to do, since it's stated very obviously.
It's pretty obvious. Then the final part, part 3, the Jade Temple, is after the players have found their stuff. Through this, they're going to descend into the caves below, where Igan was killed, which is a classic dungeon crawl, meaning the entire adventure really has all staples of D&D in a contained adventure.
All right.
The dungeon is nothing too special. The first 2 areas are just basically entrance and unimportant.
Is there a map?
There's a map area. Classic dungeon Adventures League style, black and white. Nothing too special, gets the job done. And should you need a better one, you can easily find them on the internet.
All right, nice.
And then the third area is where the first fight comes against some animated armors. The fourth area is a sinkhole where players have to get across, slope downwards. There's ghouls at a bomb, but usually I like to not have the ghouls here and have them come in the final fight. Makes it a lot more dramatic. Then the next area, cells, unimportant. And then the 6th and 7th area is actually where the adventure itself really concludes. In the 6th one, there's Igan Sokol's corpse slumped over an altar and is actually going to come to life, as well as another guard that died here and some skeletons. And then the ghouls can come in off of the back. And after those are actually killed in the dramatic final encounter, Grim and his entourage, which hid in the next room over, are going to come in and ask if everything's over. And Igan's going to tell his side of the story, which is, of course, a lie, and say that Igan touched the statue that's in the previous room and everything came to life. But actually, he stabbed him in the back, which is how the players can find out he was stabbed in the back. Usually that give away that not some weird undead killed him.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's really up to the players. If they've figured that out, they can bring Igan to justice, or give Igan justice, bring Grim to justice, and the ghost will be pleased and put the beacon back on, or Grim can just leave and never be found out, at which point the beacon will not turn on. But either way, the adventure draws it to a conclusion, and it's fun to play regardless if the mystery or not has been solved.
It sounds very fun. I can definitely confirm I played it also with Luke as Dungeon Master. It is quite a lot of fun. It's also a very classic experience. It's like described. It's the beginning in the tavern, it's the investigation part, then the conclusion in the final fight. So everything that a good D&D adventure needs.
Yeah, and one of its strong points is there's a lot of information crammed into very little space. So it really is, the more the adventurers engage with the world and more they ask people questions, the more information they learn, which makes it more and more likely that they know what's going on and they solve the mystery.
Good. So if they not solve the mystery, is it a good point to continue some kind of adventures? Could you start a campaign with that one?
I guess you can. The adventure is very self-contained, so not the best point. You'd have to rewrite a few points, but you certainly can.
Okay, good. That then brings us to your final conclusion. What would you say about that adventure?
It's a solid adventure with just a few writing hiccups of things overlooked. At one point, a specific hole is written in the preamble text you write or read to players that is then not actually further elaborated on for the DM at all. But aside from that, the adventure is very fleshed out and really can be run as written and just straight out of the pages here, an amazing adventure.
Right, yeah, that is great. No rewriting on that one.
And with that, I'd give the adventure a 19 out of 20.
That's very good rating. One of the best we will probably ever have. Thank you for reviewing this adventure.
Thank you for being here.
And
thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching. And if you like this adventure, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you want to leave a recommendation about what to review next, feel free to mention that in the comments as well. And with that, we end this here and see you all next time.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye-bye.